questions?
Yeah, follow.
Good morning, Speech 100. I'm Connor Wood, and today I'm interviewing Rene Schofield about working as a DOTS teacher. So, what is your profession? What do you do as a DOTS teacher?
I'm a teacher for the high school, and I teach students of military dependent. I teach military dependent students that are stationed here in Air Base, Misawa, Japan.
And how is that different from teaching regular students?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Our class sizes are much smaller. Our students are more familiar with diversity and travel than the students I taught in the United States. They've pretty much stayed in the same location, and international experience was quite limited. But these guys, oh, I've been there, or I've been to Paris. Oh yeah, the subways, they really smell bad, and this country, and so they really have an understanding, a worldview that's much different, which is also fun.
Must be interesting teaching students who'll tell you about all the places they went in the world.
Mm-hmm. It is, and some of them, it's interesting. The last place we were in Germany before we moved back here, we were on live fire training in Grafenwehr, Germany, and we would be in the classroom, and all of a sudden there's this 500-pound bunker bomb about 3 miles down the road, and the asphalt literally goes, and the concussive, the classroom goes. It's just so loud, it scared the bejesus out of me. And the kids would be like, that's my mom flying that jet, or that's my dad in the tank, and it was just so commonplace to them and really surprising to me. That was a huge wake-up call that I had nothing to do with before. So.
Well, it's definitely different for civilians, I assume. How did you become a DOTS teacher?
I was finishing my degree in California and was teaching in Northern California in the Cupertino Bay Area. And my husband is a DOTS brat, so his family is from the DOTS teacher system. So he said, let's go travel and let's go teach around the world. And I thought it was an interesting prospect. So we applied and were accepted in '99 to our first duty station in Yokosuka.
That's awesome. How many places have you been to? Where have you gone?
Most of our places we've stayed quite a bit of time. So our first station was in Yokosuka, Japan, and that was 7 years. And then we moved to Bamberg, Germany, which is a beautiful base, about an hour north of Nuremberg. And so we were there for 8 years, and then we've been in Misawa, Japan for 3 now.
What do you think was your favorite place to go?
Ooh, it's a tough one. I think Bamberg, Germany was the most beautiful place. And we did a lot of traveling. My husband bought this remarkable camper van in VW, and we went all over Europe with our dog, Max, and we explored all over. So that was really fun. It was quite easy to get everywhere, and there were a lot of different countries we were able to go to. So that was great. Although Misawa is quite beautiful, too. We have it's peaceful, as opposed to Yokosuka area. There's a lot of traffic, there's a lot of people, and so we're kind of enjoying this later in life, when we're kind of slowing down. So it's kind of nice up here too.
Where are you from originally?
Hawaii. I'm native Hawaiian, so we have a house and we live in, we call Pahoa, Hawaii our home. So on the Big Island, about an hour south of volcanoes.
Well, you're definitely one of the most well-traveled teachers I've ever met. Do you ever miss being in Hawaii?
Yeah, we do a lot. One of the things we were talking about this summer is, I've been really wanting to plant an herb and vegetable garden. I eat so much vegetables and lettuce and mushrooms and everything, and I just miss being able to plant one. I mean, I couldn't plant one here because by the time it's harvest time, we're gone in the States, and I couldn't plant one there because by the time I plant and when it's harvest time, we'd have to be gone. So that's one of the things we keep putting off until we get home, because we're not going to be able to do that.
It's a big goal right now.
Yeah.
Do you have any kids?
Yes, I have 2, and they're both in California. My daughter is 30 years old, and she works at Stanford. And then my son, he's a supervisor for a produce distributing warehouse down in LA. So.
Okay. Yeah. So the kids that you teach, do you ever take on kind of a parenting role with them since you're away from being?
Oh yeah. Kind of. And, and we're trained to sort of keep an eye out for students, especially we know, I already know in this beginning of the school year, I've got 3 parents who are going to be going downrange in just a month or 2, and up through April. So we really work hard to keep in touch with families and to know where they are and what their missions are and where they're going to, that they're going to be gone for a certain amount of time. And we do. We step up, and I know that Mr. Schofield and I both have, sort of adopted not only high school kids but airmen too. And we just kind of we miss our own kids, and so it's really fun to be able to hang out with other kids and cook for them because we love to cook. But so the students we definitely are aware that this is a huge challenge for them, and then they take up more responsibilities at home. Some have to give up sports so they can take care of their younger brothers and sisters, and due dates. Sometimes, they're like, I didn't have any time to get to the library. I had to shuttle my brother to soccer and my sister to cooking class or what. So it's a challenge, but they're also quite really proud of the responsibility they take on when a parent goes downrange.
Well, that's awesome. What's your most favorite experience as a teacher?
Oh, goodness. I think there was this girl named Roma, and I remember she was in Northern California in the Bay Area, and she dressed like a goth. I mean, she had ear piercings that ran from her ear to her nose. She dressed in white makeup and black clothes, and she had spiky hair. She was always being dress coded for dog collars that were really spiky and dangerous, but she was a remarkable poet, and I remember her, and she was just barely graduating by the skin of her teeth because of her English class. So I made a deal with her, and I said, okay, do this history project. I mean, she swore like a sailor. And I said, do this project for me, and it was an etymology of all the swear words in our world. So I gave her a 25-word history research project to understand where these swear words come from, or these random words. One of them was weird. Where does the word weird come from? And so she did this research project. She wrote poetry about it, and she did a presentation on it, and that was the one extra credit thing that helped her to graduate. So on the day of graduation, I never forget, this girl runs up to me, and she gives this big old hug, and I did not even recognize her. She was wearing a sundress. Her hair was short, in sort of like a natural brown color hair, and I'm like, who are you? She's like, it's Roma. And she was totally changed because she was walking for graduation. She had family coming in, and she just wanted to have a more normal look for her graduation, and I was just stunned. And I just remember the transformation that she chose for herself. She said, I don't need any of that anymore. I know I'm smart, I'm intelligent, I'm creative, and I don't really need to put on this appearance that thought I helped to define me. But so that was really, there's lots of situations I see like that in kids where they try on some personality because they think that's who they want to be, and then they realize that's not who they want to be at all. So that's kind of fun for me, that they can find something they take pride in, and they build this confidence when they've overcome a challenge. That then they realize, oh, I can just be me without having to take on the persona of somebody else. So that's kind of cool. I love that part when kids come to that realization.
That's amazing. I know teachers are a big part of kids' life, and the stages of them growing up, and that's awesome that you get to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Do you recommend being a dance teacher to other people?
Oh, I do. I mean, if you love to travel and if you love kids, if you just, I love the wit of teenagers. To me, that to me is so funny. I mean, some of the things, I just had one of these memories pop up from about 4 years ago, and I overheard two kids in my class talking, and one of them says to the other, man, you got so many brothers and sisters. And the kid leans back in his chair and he says, what can I say? My mom was a team player. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I just die laughing. I mean, you don't see that kind of stuff in the real world because everybody's filtering, as adults. But I love the fact that kids are witty as they're exploring their world around them. They're learning new ways to be fun, be funny, be satirical, be profound, and to me, that's the most magic that I see when they find their voice. When you're a child, you whine and I want this, I want that, or it's someone else's fault. But when you become responsible for your own, you learn that your voice has power. That if you want to change the dress code policy, you'll have to come up with some evidence and some reasoning, and rationale, and a claim and support to make that happen. And so when students are finally empowered to do that, it's a huge thing. And I think, if nothing else, they've gone out into this world. I don't care if they learn any British literature, if they remember, if they could recite any American poems, but can they use their voice and find evidence and connect the dots with reasoning that will convince other people, to do something? That's huge,
So you really just teach them how life works, basically.
I try, but sometimes they don't get that, they just sort of go, she makes us do too much work, or I'm kind of like the hated teacher on campus, because I do challenge kids a lot, but later I always find that they're like, I learned how to write a thesis in your class, I learned how to do this in your class, I learned how to be a stronger writer, and now I'm pursuing a career in writing. I mean, these are the things that really matter, So yeah, I can take I can take the fact that kids at this point in their lives are like,
Well, I appreciate you answering these questions for me, and I think that being a teacher would be a rewarding experience for anybody.
Good. I think you should do it.
Maybe I will. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.